press R twice and rotate it and get all of these different shapes. Hey everyone, welcome to my new tutorial. Today we are going to create this very stylized low poly tree animation, and I really hope you will enjoy this one. And if you do, please don't forget to leave that like. And if you're new to the world of 3D and Blender and you want to learn in the fastest and linear way, be sure to check out my courses. I carefully designed them to take you from beginner skills through low poly illustration all the way to full character illustration and textured environments. So if you're interested, please check out the link in the description. Now let's jump right into empty Blender file, and first of all, let's drag the selection around the cube and the light, press X and delete. And now we'll create a single vertex and extrude the tree from that. But before we do, let's go Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and search for Extra. And now activate the Add Mesh Extra Objects add-on. And while we're here, let's go to the Bool and activate the Bool tool. Just check the box, close the preferences, and you should have all the add-ons we'll need available. So now let's press Shift A, and now in the mesh you have all these different options, and let's choose single vert and add single vert. And you might notice you are already in the edit mode, so you can start extruding right away. So let's just look from the side by pressing 3 on a numpad, and let's press E and extrude this up slightly, and now to the side a little bit, and basically create whatever tree shape you like. So something like this, and now you can just select whatever vertex you want and continue the extrusion that way. So let's go right here, and then let's create a few branches. And now let's select this one, and we can rotate this a little bit and extrude to the side like this. Okay, and maybe let's rotate some of these. So let's look from the top by pressing 7 on a numpad. Let's rotate this and move it to the side. So we have it a little bit distributed in space. You can press G and move things around. Something like this, and then maybe let's move the whole thing. Okay, and now let's reposition this towards the camera. So let's select all of these vertices on top, except the bottom one. And now let's look from the camera by pressing 0 on a numpad, press R, then Z, and just rotate this and move it like this. Okay, and now we'll use the skin modifier. So tab out of the edit mode, go to the modifiers, let's add, generate, and choose skin modifier. This doesn't look like much, but we'll fix that right away. So tab into the edit mode, and let's enable X-ray view right here, and just select all of these endpoints. So hold Shift and select the last points of each branch. We can leave this one for now, and then let's enable proportional editing. Let's press Ctrl A to control the radius and just scale them down like this. And now let's control the size of the radius with the mouse wheel like that, and let's go even smaller. And this way we very easily created a tree shape. So let's select this endpoint right now, disable proportional editing, and press Ctrl A again to scale it down. And now you might need to move things around a little bit. If you deactivate the X-ray view, you might get some holes like here, for example. So let's enable that again, and you might want to just move things around a little bit until you get rid of those. Basically you need to find different angles at which those will work, or maybe create a larger distance between those points. So as you can see, now this is pretty clean. So let me leave it like this. Now let's create the leaves, and this will be very stylized. We'll just create some low poly shapes and move them around. So let's press Shift A and let's create an icosphere. And now let's modify the subdivisions here to 1. And basically this could be used as is and distribute it all around like that. But let's take it a step further, and let's press S then Z and scale this down. Press Ctrl A and apply the scale. And now we'll press Shift D to duplicate this. Let's select the tree and hide it, and select one of these. Now I will disable the X-ray view. And now let's press R twice and just rotate the other one in some way. It can be pretty random at this point. Okay, and now hold Shift, select the other one, and with the Bool tool active, we'll hold Ctrl and press asterisk on a numpad, and you will basically get the intersection product from both of these shapes. And you can still select these bounds, press R twice and rotate it and get all of these different shapes. Really nice to create different like low poly organic shapes. I really like this one, for example. So let's select those, press Shift D, then Y and move it to the side. And now we'll create a different rotation. So press R twice and just rotate until you find something interesting like this. And now let's do this once again. Okay, this will be a little bit sharper. Okay, something like that. And now just select these and go ahead and apply the boolean modifier. No need to keep it editable, but of course if you want you can. Now just select these by holding Shift, press X and delete, and you have now some interesting different shapes. So let's press Alt H to unhide the tree, and let's select the shape, press S to scale it down, and we'll basically just move it around here and place it on these branches in a different way. Of course you can duplicate them, so when you for example place one of them and you want another of the same shape, press Alt D and just duplicate it. Okay, and something like this. And now select the tree, tab into the edit mode, select the bottom vert, press E then Z and extrude it down and press Ctrl A to scale it up, so we have some grounding here, and we can move both up a little bit. So select both, press G then Z and move them up. And now tab out and let's go animate this a little bit. So let's add another modifier and we'll go deform and simple deform. And now we'll choose bend, and we'll be bending around x-axis. So if you try to play with this, you will see the bending is fine. But when we bend, these stay in place, which is not optimal. So let's hit 0 here. So we reset that for a second. And now we'll parent these, but we won't parent them to the object. We'll parent them to the vertices. So select the tree, tab into the edit mode, enable X-ray view, and choose one of the points, for example this one, tab out, select all of these by holding Shift, now tree as last, and press Ctrl P and choose vertex triangle. So these should be now parented to the vertex, and now if you start bending, you will see they move with your bending shape. So first of all, let's prepare some animation. I will reset this once more and expand the timeline a little bit, and let's modify the timeline to something like 120. And let's go to the output tab and switch to 30 FPS. And now make sure you are on the frame 1. Let's go back to the modifiers. And here on the angle, let's just hover here and press I to insert keyframe. And now let's expand this even more. And while hovering over the timeline, hold Ctrl and press Tab. So you go to the graph editor and just select the angle track here, go to the modifiers, and let's add a noise modifier. And now if you play it back, it will be a little bit hectic, so let's scale it up to something like 20. And we have some automated animation here, but it's too strong, so let's reduce the strength to something like 0.1. And that should be quite okay. Now, if you want this to loop perfectly, you can restrict frame rate from 1 to 120 and then use 5 and 5 for blending, and they will always return to their original point. And then you can play with offset to find some nicer curve like this, for example. So basically that's it for now. So let's disable the X-ray view. Let's press Shift A, create a plane, tab into the edit mode, scale it up. And now maybe we can borrow some of these shapes. So let's press Shift D and we'll press Alt P and clear parent. And now just move them down. And we'll use it as rocks. So you can press Alt D to duplicate it around and press R twice to modify the rotation. Here we can go lower. And this is just so we can create some nice variation around the tree. Okay, something like this. Let's look from the camera by pressing 0 on a numpad. Select it by clicking on the corner here, press G then Z and move it up. And now we can modify the output to something like 1600 to 1200. Press G then Z twice to bring the camera closer. And now select the background and press S to scale it up. And let's collapse this a little bit, press Ctrl B to limit the render preview only for camera bounce, and in the render settings let's enable cycles. I will enable GPU and the noising here, and I will choose something really low for the samples, like 64 for the animation, and let's hold Z and preview the rendered. Of course this will be dark, so let's press Shift A and let's add light and sunlight, and of course we can press R to rotate the sunlight a little bit. But to make it a little bit softer, let's press Shift A and we'll add an area light, press G then Z and move it up, and this will create this nice fall off. So in the light settings, let's increase the power, and we can of course move this further back. You can press G and then Shift Z to move only on X and Y axis, and we can move it back like this. And of course we can press N, and in the view panel we can enable camera to viewport. So now if you rotate your viewport using your standard controls, you can reposition your camera very intuitively. Okay, something like this. Don't forget to disable that. And now select the background, go to the materials, and let's create a new one. And let's go something green like this and increase the roughness. Now for the tree, let's create a new one, and let's go like a dark desaturated brown. And for the leaves, let's give this like a fresh green color. Okay, and we can use the same green on these other ones. So just select them and choose the material from the menu, and let's create a stone material. Let's make it a little bit darker here, maybe a hint of blue or green. Okay, and here we can color this light as well if we want to something more warm, and probably this is too strong, so maybe let's go something blue or greenish like this. Okay, and we can make this larger and a little bit stronger. And now let's go to the world settings, and we can increase the world color, but we can change the color as well to create these nice gradients here. And if you really want this to be like really pastel and dreamy, you can really go up with this color and make it almost foggy. Okay, something like this should be okay. And now in the render settings, we can increase the exposure in the color management and choose higher contrast settings. And now if you play back your animation, you have this nice movement here. So that's it for today's tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, please don't forget to leave that like, and if you're new around here, hit that subscribe. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.